Hey everybody, here Lacey Good Books. Hi, I'm Lacey Good, and today we're going to be on Chapter 6, Ronnie. Under normal criticisms, Ronnie probably would have advocated an evening like this in New York. The lights from the city made it impossible to see many stars. But here it was just the opposite. Even with the layer of Marie haze, she could clearly make out the Milky Way. And directly to the south, Venus glowed brightly. The waves crashed and rolled rhythmically along the beach, and on the horizon she could see the faintest lights of half a dozen shapes, boats, but the criticisms weren't normal. As she stood on the beach, she glanced at the officer, lived beyond belief. No change that she wasn't just lived, she was seeing what had happened was so overprotective, so over the top, she could still barely progress it. Her first thought was simply to hitchhike to the bus station and buy herself a ticket back to New York. She wouldn't tell her dad or her mom. She'd call Kayla once she was there. She would figure out what to do next. No matter, she decided it couldn't be any worse than this. But that wasn't possible. Not with Officer Pete here. He stood behind her now, making sure she went inside. She still couldn't believe it. How could her dad, her own flesh and blood father, do something like this? She was almost an adult. She hadn't been doing anything wrong, and it wasn't even midnight. What was the problem? Why did he have to turn this into something far bigger than it was? Oh, sir. At first, Officer Pete had made it sound like it had been an ordinary one of the mail order. Visit their spot on the bruise point. Something that hadn't supposed the others, but then he turned to her, zeroed in on her. Specifically, I'm taking you home, he said, making it sound as if she were 8 years old. No thanks, she responded. Then I'll have to arrest you of virginity charges and have your dad bring you home. It dawned on her. Then her dad had asked police to bring her home, and there was an incident when she was frozen in northern person. She'd had problems with her mom, and she had problems with her mom, and she'd blown off her curfew now and then, but never ever, not even once, had her mother sent the police after her. On the post, the officer indeed on her thoughts. Go on, and he prompted, making it filthy clear that if she didn't open the door, he would homicide. She could hear the soft sound of the piano, and she recognized the Sorta by Edvard Grieg in E minor. She took a deep breath before opening the door, then slammed it shut behind her. Her father stopped playing and looked up as she glared at him. You sent the cops after me? Her dad said nothing, but his silence was enough. Why would you do something like that? She demanded. How could you do something like that? He said nothing. What is it? You don't want me to have fun? You don't trust me? You don't. You didn't get the fact that I didn't want to be here? Her father folded his hands in his lap. I know you don't want to be here. She took a step forward, still advancing. So you decided you want to ruin my life too? Who's Marcus? Who cares? She shouted. That's not the point. You're not going to monitor every single person I ever talk to. So don't even try. I'm not trying. I hate being here. Don't you get that? And I hate you too. She stared at him, her face daring him to consider conjecture her, hoping he'd try so she'd be able to say it again. But her dad said nothing as usual. She hated the kind of weakness in a furry. She crossed the room toward the alcove, grabbed the picture of her playing the piano on the one with her dad beside her on the beach, and hurled it across the room. Through he finished at the sound of breaking glass. Her remains quiet. Was nothing to say? He cleared his throat. Your bedroom's the first door on the right. She didn't even want to identify his comments with just a response. So she stormed down the hall, determined to have nothing more to do with him. Good night, sweetheart, he called out. I love you. There was a moment, just a moment, when she greeted at what she'd said to him, but her regret vanished as quickly as it had come. It was as if he hadn't even realized she'd been angry. She heard him begin to play the piano again, picking up exactly where he left off. In the bedroom, not hard to find, considering there were only 3 doors off the hallway, one to the bathroom and the other to her dad's room. Ronnie flipped on the light. With a frustrated sigh, she peeled off the ridiculous Nemo t-shirt. She almost forgotten she was wearing it. Had been the worst day of her life. Oh, she knew she was being mild romantic about the whole thing. She wasn't stupid still. It hadn't been a great one. About the only good thing to come out of the whole day was meeting these, which gave her hope that she'd have at least one person to spend time with this summer. Emerson, of course, that Lee still wanted to spend time with her after Dad's little stunt. Even that was the doubt Lee's and the rest of them were probably still thinking about it, probably laughing about it. It was the kind of thing Kayla would bring up for years. The whole thing made her sick to her stomach. She tossed the Nemo shirt in the corner. If she never saw it again, it would be too soon, and began slipping off her current shirt before I get too grossed out. You should know I'm in here. Ronnie jumped at the sound, really wanted to see Josh standing at her. Get out, she screamed. What are you doing in here? This is my room. No, it's our room, Joshua said. He pointed. See, 2 beds. I'm not going to share a room with. He tried his hand, tilted his hand to the side. You're going to sleep in Dad's room. She opened her mouth to respond, considered moving to the living room before quickly realizing she wasn't going out there again, and closed her mouth without a word. She stepped toward her suitcase, unzipped the top of the flooring, opened the lid, and another lay on top, and she tossed it aside, reaching for her pajamas. I rode the Ferris wheel, Josh said. It was pretty cool to be so high. That's how Dad found you. Great. It was awesome, Dad. It was awesome. Did you write it? No. You should have. I could see all the way to New York. I doubt it. I could. I can see pretty far. And with my glasses, I mean, Dad said, I have eagle eyes. Yeah, right, Josh said. Nothing. Instead, he reached for the teddy bear he'd brought with him from home. It was the one he catched whenever he was nervous, and Ronnie regretting her words. Sometimes that way he talked made it easy to think of him as an adult, but he pulled the bar to his chest. She knew she shouldn't have been so harsh. Through he was progresses through. He was vulnerable to the point of annoyance at time. He was small for his age, more the size of a 6 or 7-year-old than a 10-year-old. It had never been fried from Smith, the poor vision, and a look of fine monetary consideration. She knew kids his age could be cruel. I didn't mean that. In your glasses, you identifiably have eagle eyes. Yeah, they are pretty good now. He mumbled. But when he turned away, his face as well. Oh well, she winked again. He was a sweet kid, a pain in the butt sometimes, but she knew he didn't. He didn't have to. Didn't have any mean bone in him. She went over to his bed and sat beside him. Hey, she said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm just having a bad night. I know, he said. Did you go on any of the other rides? Dad took me on most of them. He almost got sick, but I didn't. And I wasn't scared at all. Scared at sick, but I wasn't scared at all. In the haunted house, I could tell the ghosts were fake. She patted him on the hip. You've always been pretty brave. Yeah, he said like that time when the light went out on the apartment. You were scared that night. I wasn't scared, though. I remember he seemed satisfied with her answering, but there he grew quiet, and when he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. Do you miss Mom, Ronnie? Reached for the covers. Yeah, I kind of miss her, too. And I didn't like being here alone. Dad was in the other room, she said. I know, but I'm glad you come home anyway. Me too. He smiled before looking worried again. Do you think Mom is doing okay? She's fine, she assured him. She pulled up the covers, but I know she misses you too. In the morning, with sunlight peeks through the curtains, It took Ronnie a few seconds to realize when she was looking at the clock. She thought, "You got to be kidding me." 8 o'clock in the morning in the summer. She pulled back down only to find herself straining at the ceiling already, knowing that sleep was out of the question, not with the sun shooting degrees through the window, not with her father already hammering on the piano in the living room. As she suddenly remembered what had happened last night, the anger she felt at what her father had done resurfaced. Welcome to another day in paradise. Outside the window, she heard the distant roar of energies. She rose from the bed and pulled aside the curtains only to jump back, stunned at the sight of a raccoon sitting atop a torn bag of garbage, which the straw garbage was gross. The raccoon was cute, and she tipped the glass trying to get its attention. It was only then that she noticed the bars on the window. Bars on the window, trapped, getting her teeth, grating her teeth. She whirled around the maghead, marched into the living room. Josh was watching cartoons and eating a bowl of cereal. Her dad glanced out, but continued to play. She put her hands on her hips, waiting for him to stop. She noticed that the picture she'd thrown was back in place atop the panel at the beach without the glasses. "You can't keep me locked up all summer," she said. "It's not going to happen." Her dad glanced up through the continuing to play. "What are you talking about? You put bars on the window like I'm supposed to be your prisoner?" Josh continued to watch the cartoon. "I told you she'd be mad," he commented. Steve shook his head, his hands continuing to move across the keyboard. "I don't put them up. They came with the house." I don't believe you. They did, Joshua said, to protect the art. I'm not talking to you, Josh. She turned back to her dad. Let's get one thing straight. You're not going to spend this summer treating me like I'm still a little girl. I'm 18 years old. You won't be 18 until August. Tunish just said behind her. Would you please stay out of this? She wheeled around to face him. This is between me and Dad, Josh frowned. But you're not 18 yet. That's not the point. I thought you forgot. I didn't forget. I'm not stupid. But you said, would you just shut up for a second? She said, unable to hide her expression. She swiveled her gaze back to her dad, who'd continued to play, never missing a note. What you did last night was so... She stopped, unable to put all of... So, never missing a note. What did last night was... She stopped, unable to pull all that was going on, all that had happened until words. I'm old enough to make my own decisions. Don't you get that? You give up the right to tell me what to do when you walked out the door. And would you please listen to me? Eventually, her dad stopped playing. I don't like this little game you're playing. He seemed confused. What game? This playing the piano every minute I'm here? I don't care how much you want me to play. I'm never going to play piano again. Especially not for you, okay? See, coming in. This playing the piano every minute I'm here. I don't care how much you want me to play. I'm never going to play the piano again. It's really not for you, okay? She wanted for more, but there was nothing. That's it, she asked. That's all you're going to say? Her dad seemed to debate how to answer. Do you want breakfast? I made some bacon, she demanded. You made bacon? Uh-oh, Josh said. Her dad glanced at Josh. She's a vegetarian, Dad, he explained. Really? He asked. Josh answered for her. For 3 years, but she's weird sometimes. So it makes sense. Ronnie stared at them in amazement, wondering how the carnivore sense had been hijacked. This wasn't about bacon. This was about what happened last night. Let's get one thing straight, she said. If you ever send the police to bring me home again, I won't just refuse to play the game, to play the piano. I won't just go home. I'll never ever speak to you again. And if you don't believe me, try me. I've already gone there. Years without talking to you, and it was the easiest thing I've ever done. With that, she stepped back to her room. 20 minutes later, after shadowing the changing, she was out the door. Her first thought as she tangled through the sand was that she should have worn shorts. It was already hot. The air thick with humidity up and down the beach. People were already lying on towels and playing in the sand, in the surf near the pier. She stopped half a dozen surfers floating on their boards, waiting for the perfect wave. Above them, at the head of the pier, that festival was no more. The rides had been dismantled, and the booze had already been held away, leaving behind only scattered garbage and food remains. Moving on, she wandered through the town's small businesses. None of the stores were open yet, but most were the kind she'd never set foot in anyway. Toasty beach shop, a couple of clothing stores. There seemed to specialize in the skirts and vests that her mom might where in a big or in a Burger King and McDonald's. 2 plays. She refused to enter the Prince Capital ad to add in the hotel. They have a dozen upscale restaurants and bars, and that was pretty much it. In the end, the only interesting locals were in the Stuff Shop, a music store, and old-fashioned diner. She could imagine hanging out with friends if she ever met any. She headed back to the beach and skipped down the done-nothing that the crowds had multiplied. It was a glorious, breezy day. The sky overhead was a deep, cloudless blue. If Kayla had been here, she'd even consider spending the day in the sun. But Kayla wasn't here, and she wasn't about to put on her suit and go sit by herself. But what else was there to do? Maybe she should try to get a job. It would give her an excuse to be out of the house most of the day. She hadn't seen any help wanted signs in the window downtown, but someone had to be hiring, right? Did you make it home okay, or did the cop end up making a pass at you? Looking behind her, Ronnie saw Lise squinting up at her from the dune, lost in thought. She hadn't even noticed her. No, he didn't make a pass at me. Oh, so you made a pass at him? Ronnie crossed her arms. Are you done? Lise surrogate, her expression misvalues, and Ronnie smiled. So what happened after I left? Anything exciting? No, the guys took off. I didn't know where they went. I ended up just crashing at Brewer's Point. You didn't go home? No. She got to her feet, brushing the sand from her jeans. Do you have any money? Why? We stood straight. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. I'm kind of hungry. Hey, that's it for chapter 6. If you're new, welcome in, and I hope you guys have a nice Monday night, day, evening, and next week we're going to be on chapter 7, Will. Thank you to Conservation Good Books. If you're new, Want to check things out? Go ahead. And peace out, my peeps.